let's kind of jump in here, James. We've been talking about Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 through 25 a good bit. And this whole program is built around helping people move on toward being more like Jesus,
Yeah.
every day walking and talking, being a true disciple of Jesus. And what that really means to us is that we don't stay in the same place where we are when we find Jesus. We're going to move on. And to our goal is now to become more and more like Jesus and have Jesus reflected more and more through our lives. But Galatians starts out talking about being justified, and you really can't go to sanctification, which is becoming more holy, being more like God, until you've been justified. Can you?
That's a great question. And as we follow the sense of God has grace, which is God's unmerited favor. And in there's not but one grace. There's God's grace,
Right.
in Jesus. And we come to experience that grace in a variety of ways. And whether it's the grace of God calling us into relationship when, man, we're comfortable or we're miserable or wherever we are, and we think, well, we're going to do this, and we just continue to fail. uh, God's prevenient or calling grace is that grace, calling us into relationship. And then when we begin to respond to that, and what you're kind of talking about at justification, that's that moment where we both recognize that God has been here all along. We begin to recognize just the first glimmers of light, like a sunrise, and you begin to see God's love breaking the darkness in our life, and we come to say, I'm going to open my eyes, and I'm I could go do 1,000 things, but right now I'm going to enjoy and be in this moment. When we say Jesus, and we begin to believe, that is that moment of justification and justifying grace that then doesn't stop. The sunrise is going to come and go. We're going to have a sunset. Our lives will continue to move. And then we begin a journey, what we would understand is God's sanctifying grace upon our life. We Sanctification. We also use a very churchy word called holiness, which is just, I think, one of my uh, colleagues in the Salvation Army said, holiness is Jesus. So if you think about what is holiness, it is the lifestyle, it is the life being of Jesus, and sanctification is when that begins to work in our life.